Very specific.
Yeah, Greg knows real well what not to say. A lot of directors say too much, and they'll get you confused and almost self-aware. I remember a conversation I had with Greg before we started shooting. We sat down, and I had my book with me, and I wanted to show him all the different stuff that I'd underlined in the novel, and my thoughts on the who knows what I was talking about, all the different things that I learned in college how to say. And he listened to everything I had to say, and he had his comments, but basically at the end of what I said, he was like, yeah, I don't think you need to think about it too much. I think you got it, don't worry.
Right.
And it worked.
He kept us free. He just kept us really free, and free of being kind of heady about it. And all actors can tend to get a little bit heady. You know, get a little, because you become very self-aware, so even for the briefest of moments you become kind of self-centered or kind of wrapped up, and it's kind of, and then it's nice to just have someone come up to you and say, oh, just let it go, it's alright, and it was simple as that, and that was kind of the tone of the set. But he's certainly very specific in how he makes a film and his working environment, and that because he's editing his films, he would only need two. I mean, it would be. Very rarely I felt like we ever got to do an entire scene as a whole, except the more dramatic scenes. A couple of the more dramatic scenes, we would read them all the way through. But because he knew what angle he was going to be using here, here, and here, he would just I'll get 2 lines on the master, and then I'll go over and I'll grab, 5 lines here, or on the close-up, and I mean, so he's so specific and particular. That's the reason he gets away with making these beautiful movies that cost so little money.
Yeah.
He could watch the entire movie in his head before we even got involved.
Yeah.
And he made it very clear to us what that movie was. I mean, from the script to anything he said. I mean, script to screen, it's exactly as I'd imagined it. I mean, it's almost exactly like I'd imagined it, and that never happens. And so for Greg to be such a brilliant communicator, to communicate that to an audience, or to us, was incredible and exciting.
You'd be surprised the directors that show up, highly paid directors that show up and go, well, what are we going to shoot today?
Yeah.
And, yeah, Greg's the opposite of that. And you have it feels good acting for him, because when he says, good, that was it, 100%, that's what he had in mind, and what he has in his mind is perfect in the entirety of the film. And so if he likes it, cool.
The last scene of the film I'll never forget for as long as I live. I mean, that was it left a profound, lasting effect on me, because I would really say it was that evening that Joe and I became very close, because how could we not, really? As a result of we kind of were forced to, and I've just never felt that in touch with anything previously, and we shot it for hours and hours.
Man. Brady is channeling some shit.
But it was just I'll just never forget that. I had dreams about it for several nights afterwards. It was actually this weird thing. It's like a song that gets stuck in your head. Like they weren't quite nightmares or anything. They were just these kind of, like, I remember that evening I could almost smell it. It was just a very specific night. It meant because it meant so much to these characters, it meant a lot to us, just in a different way. And yeah, it was kind of spectacular. It was kind of amazing.
Yeah, it's not nearly as exciting to talk about it as it was to do it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't feel too sad about it now. After this much time has passed, because we still have so much going on with the film. We're still kind of in the midst of it. It feels like we're immersed in it. But I went through postpartum depression for like a month, you know, after it was finished. It just, because you feel like you're just leaving this kind of small family you formed, you know, and it's very, and it's kind of corny, but it's true. You feel very at home. And I wasn't used to not seeing Greg every day, or Mary Jane, the producer, every day, and everyone whom I just loved. And
yeah, making a movie is different than writing a book or painting a picture. There's 100 people involved, and yeah, the actors and the director get a lot of the credit, but if the guy holding the boom isn't into it, it shows. I believe that it shows. I think that's why a lot of the corporate studio movies are so stilted and boring, is because most of the people there are just earning a paycheck. But everybody on our set was there because they believed in it. They weren't making any money, so they were doing it because they loved it.
Exactly. It's you know, you occasionally come across big studio films that it just happens that it's people feel passionately about it, and it has money, but they're kind of hard to come by. They're very hard to come by. Not to say that it's like indie movies are the best thing on the planet. They certainly aren't. There's tons of shitty indie movies, tons. But anyway, but generally, even the shitty indie movies, people generally still feel passionately about them. They're just misguided. So, yeah.